Why, hello, and welcome to Spoiler Piece Theater, the podcast that doesn't give a shit about spoilers. We just want to talk about the movies. My name is Dave Riedel. My pronouns are he, him. I'm a movie writer, talker type person, and I'm a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association.
My name's Evan Crean. My pronouns are he, him. I'm co-chair of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, co-author of your 80s movie guide, Better Living, and co-host of the It's the Pictures podcast.
Yowza.
Hey-o.
Hey-o. So on this week's show, we saw two movies. Unfortunately, it's one of those weeks where we each saw one movie.
Yes. It hasn't happened in a while.
Yeah. Evan couldn't get to the screening I went to, and I couldn't go to the screening that Evan went to, and they were two different movies. So you're going to have two solo shots. But I will do my best to interrupt his train of thought as much as I can. So I don't know what he's got planned for me. Yeah, that'll be great. By the fourth interruption, he's going to be like, dude, what the fuck? But hopefully it won't get too heated. It's all in good fun, kids.
Yeah, it is. We have fun here.
Before we get to said fun, wanted to mention the other fun, that is to say the Patreon that we here have at Spoiler Piece. Patreon.com/spoilerpiece. $5 a month. You get an extra movie review each week, usually an older film. You get to vote in a poll once a month. Poll coming out this week for next week. You will be excited by the 6 movies we're having you choose from. Excited, goddammit. And if you're not, well, I mean, what the fuck? Yeah, why don't you like cry about it or send us an email or do some fucking thing? I don't know. What I have the weirdest style, don't I? I say thank you for being our patrons and then I insult them. It's very strange.
Provocateur.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, over on Patreon, not to belabor the point anymore, we're talking about the movie The Fan. No, not the one you've heard of but not seen with Robert De Niro and Wesley Snipes, but the one you haven't heard of and haven't seen. The one with Lauren Bacall, James Garner, and Michael Biehn. This is, I gotta tell you, we had fun talking about this because we were saying this is, when you watch this, if you watch this movie and then you listen to our conversation, you will have a better understanding of what motivates Evan as a film goer and what motivates me as a film goer. So, yeah, we had a lot of fun talking about it. So that's over on the Patreon. This week, the two movies we're talking about, big fucking deal over on Spoiler Piece. We got The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Oh, yeah.
Known to his friends as Baby Yoda.
Yep.
And we have Tuner, or as a lot of people say in this movie, Tuna, which makes them sound like he's being called a tuna. But they are all from New York, except for Jean Reno, who's French. But anyway, let me throw to myself. I'm going to talk about Tuner. No, I'm not. We're going to have Evan talk about The Mandalorian and Grogu first, because what kind of person would I be if I was hosting this episode and then telling Evan he had to cool his jets while I yapped for 15 minutes? Oh, boy.
All right. Well, before we do that, two things. One, Tuner, I hardly even know her.
Oh.
And you can tune a piano, but you can't tune a fish.
You can tune a piano, but you can't tune a fish. You can also, there's a band, Hot Tuna, don't forget, made up of former members of Jefferson Airplane, a band that I never liked. Hot Tuna's tolerable, though. You know what it is? It's the psychedelic sound. I finally put it together, Evan. I don't like bands that have the psychedelic sound, so that's why I don't like Jefferson Airplane. That's why I don't like Janis Joplin, although she's less offensive than most because she could at least fucking belt a tune out. That's why I don't like the fucking Grateful Dead, and they're bullshit. Fucking sitting around Haight-Ashbury being like, we noodle on guitars. Fuck you. So anyway, before we move on to Evan talking about The Mandalorian and Grogu, I wanted to thank our sponsor, Peace Patron, Heather Sachs. Thank you, Heather.
Yeah, thank you, Heather. And now I'm hearing the name Hot Tuna, and all I can picture is Hot Blooded by Foreigner. And
Hot tuna, patty melt. Well, I guess it would be a tuna melt, wouldn't it?
Yeah. You still want to check it and see, I guess, right?
Yeah. Well, how would you make... Here's the thing. I don't eat tuna because fucking gross. So there is such a thing as a tuna melt. A patty melt is, a burger with the sautéed onions or grilled onions or however you want to call it. You put them in the frying pan, you throw a little oil in there, you let them get translucent, you throw them on the burger, then you've got all the cheese, and then Most patty melts that I've seen usually have like toasted bread for the bun.
Mm-hmm.
How does a tuna melt work? I mean, do you cook tuna out of? I mean, I know you like if you're gonna have like a tuna steak, of course you sear it, whatever. But like a tuna melt's like the kind of tuna that's got the can consistency, doesn't it?
As far as I know, yeah.
It all sounds so fucking gross. I don't understand.
Sounds gross to me too. But yeah, I don't eat tuna.
Yeah, why don't you talk about Grogu? He's cute. Yeah, you should do the movie now instead of me yapping about tuna melts.
He's very cute. So yeah, Star Wars, The Mandalorian and Grogu, written and directed by Jon Favreau, also co-written by Dave Filoni and Noah Clore. These are people who worked on the TV show The Mandalorian. We've got Pedro Pascal returning as Mando, and got Baby Yoda, and we've got some other people showing up here. Sigourney Weaver's in this. Marty Scorsese does a voice in this. Jeremy Allen White is one of the other main supporting characters in this, and there's a lot going on in this. It is wall to wall action. I will say that. Pretty much like the whole opening act is like a banger. There's just so much action going on. It's like insane. First of all, the movie eschews the Star Wars title crawl.
No kidding.
Yep. It gives you a title card, which basically explains that, the Mandalorian, Mando, as he's known, and Grogu are working for the New Republic, and they are hunting down warlords and remnants of the Empire, and just, taking them down so that the New Republic can like thrive. And so the whole opening of the movie is like there's a meeting of this guy who's like a warlord, and he's got all these other people, and he's like intimidating them, telling them like, we need money to like fund our efforts. And he's got like rooms full of like stormtroopers, and Mando shows up and just shoots the shit out of everybody and like just mows them all down. Like crazy action. Like he steals this walker from a guy and runs down a mountain, and then he's blowing up AT-AT walkers, and like there's just so much action. It's like set piece to set piece to set piece to set piece.
I have a question I have to break in here. This is not to do with the plot or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I have noticed, and you are more of a Star Wars person than I am, so you will know this, or you'll have a better opinion about it. I had always heard as AT-ATs as called AT-ATs. Like when we were kids and we were watching fucking Empire, they weren't AT-ATs, they were AT-ATs. What the fuck? Have I been wrong all these years?
I've heard both, but I prefer AT-AT.
Okay, so I guess that's the nerd's opinion. All right. Please continue with your takedown. Oh, sorry, your appraisal.
Yeah. So anyway, like the whole opening of the film is this like insane like action set piece of him killing this warlord. He's supposed to take him in alive, but he kills him.
Oh wow!
And he shows up, and Sigourney Weaver is his handler, and she's like, "You do know we need to get some people alive so we can get information out of them, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, sorry." But she's got this new mission for him, and she says, like, we're trying to find this one guy. We don't know what he looks like, but he's like super powerful. And the only lead that we have is that the Hutts, the Jabba's siblings, have information and they can lead you there, but they have something they need you to do. They need you to rescue their nephew, Jabba's son, who's being held prisoner by this guy. And he's like, I don't want to work for the Hutts, but I will, help out the New Republic. And so he goes and he finds Jabba's son, who's voiced by Jeremy Allen White. And his son is buff. Like he's like got huge muscles and abs, and he's like fighting in this like fight to the death arena style situation, and he's been like sitting there like doing all these fights to like buy his freedom out from this guy who it turns out is the warlord that they're looking for. Coincidentally,
he is the warlord you're looking for.
Yeah. So then let's see what happens there. At first he's kind of like, leave me alone, Mando. Like, I'm one fight away from winning my freedom. Like, I'm not trying to mess this up. You don't need to rescue me. I don't need to go back because Jabba's siblings, the twins, they want me dead so that they can have the Empire all to themselves, like their criminal enterprises. And like, I just want to stay out of it. I'm my own man. I want nothing to do with that shit. Like, don't just leave me out of it. But then he finds out that the guy who's like, paying for all these fights wants him dead. And so he like stacks the deck and has these like all these crazy deadly monsters that he's going to throw at him at once in this final fight. And Mando gets like knocked out because he's like trying to free him. He gets like gassed and knocked out, and he gets thrown into the ring. And at first he's having to fight Rada, that's Jabba's son. And then all these crazy monsters come out, and they both have to team up and fight all of these crazy monsters that end up escaping because one of them gets thrown into like the electrical barricade. And so the city is now overrun by these crazy monsters. And so they like, there's a crazy car chase with like Rada is trying to escape. They capture him. He reveals that the warlord is this guy that they already know, so they go to try and capture him together, and they end up getting him, and they end up bringing him back. I'm trying to remember where the plot goes from there. So they bring him back, and he is alive, so they are able to question him. And then so Mando is supposed to bring Rada back, but he doesn't want to because he knows that the twins will kill him.
Mm-hmm.
And so he like sends him off to hide somewhere, and the Hutts find out about it, and they send somebody to kidnap him. So he gets kidnapped by another bounty hunter, and Grogu is there, and he escapes. And he escapes with these little like the characters from the TV show. They're these little mechanic alien guys. They're tiny, and they can climb around inside stuff. So Grogu escapes with them, and they decide to go and rescue Mando. So they travel to the Hutt home planet, and they go to try and like rescue him. And they're able to like bust him out, but then he gets horrifically injured because he ends up in this like pit with all these like sea monster things that he has to fight, including one that like bites him with this like deadly venom.
Yikes.
And so he's out for the count, and Grogu has to like forage and like nurse him back to health, basically, to like try to heal him and nurse him back to health. And then when they have the opportunity to like escape, they're like, we could run and spend the rest of our lives running, or we could take this fight to them. So they turn it around and decide to take on the Hutts and their gigantic army of like droids and bounty hunters and all that stuff.
Ooh.
And so they like storm the headquarters, and meanwhile the little like mechanic guys ran away and got Scorny Weaver and everybody. So they all show up and like blow up the Hutt headquarters, and the Hutts end up dead, and everybody's like happy at the end.
Well, we like dead Hutts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the movie ends like Rada's decided he's going to join the New Republic. Mando's like, sweet, we did it. And I think that's kind of it in terms of like plot.
Okay. How do we feel about it stacking up to other recent Star Wars movies? Because has there been a Star Wars movie since Rise of Skywalker?
No, I don't think so. I think this is the first one since Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, but this was such a successful TV. That's what they did. They branched off into TV shows because the movies were doing dog shit, because they by and large were. I will not die on a hill for Last Jedi, but I will defend Last Jedi for being A, very different from other Star Wars movies, and B, being more thoughtful than other Star Wars movies, and also still having decent action.
Yes.
That being said, you had a bunch of incels who were really upset about it. They got their feelings hurt that it wasn't like their other Star Wars movies. And so then they did Rise of Skywalker, which is kind of negates everything in Last Jedi, except for certain things they had to do. Like, yes, Luke is dead and that kind of stuff. But then they
Hmm.
went over to TV, which has been, on the whole, more successful for Star Wars since Star Wars went to Disney.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, TV. You have more time to world build than you do in the movies, and you can spend time in the grittier, smaller places, like stuff in like Andor and some of the other ones. And I haven't loved all of the output, but I have really liked The Mandalorian. I really liked the Boba Fett spin-off show that they did, which is kind of like connected to The Mandalorian. And there's like at least one episode of the Boba Fett show that's basically like a shadow Mandalorian episode where they like engage those characters for like an episode. Um,
That's cool.
all those are really interesting to me. I've very much enjoyed the world building around the Mandalorians, like their their armor, their society, their home planet. Like there's a lot of backstory there. There's like different factions of Mandalorians in the TV show. There's ones that like refuse to remove their helmet, and that's kind of like their whole thing. And there's ones who are like, no, that's fine. We can totally take off our helmets. And yeah, and Mando, the Pedro Pascal, his from the faction that you're not supposed to remove your helmet. And so, of course, in the movie, the Hutts remove his helmet, and they're like, like we know this will torture you, basically. And it's like, you will be shamed for this. And he's like, well, not if I kill you. You can see my face if I kill you,
So you actually
which he
see?
definitely makes good on.
Do you ever see Pedro Pascal's face in the show?
Not really. Not that I remember. I don't ever remember him taking off his helmet in the show.
Okay. And is the Mandalorian the show over, or is it just like we did the show for a little while, now we're going to do a movie, and maybe we'll go back to doing the show, maybe there'll be more
Yeah, I'm not
movies?
I'm not I'm not positive, honestly. I think there might be more show, but I'm not really sure. Like I think this movie was supposed to launch some other kind of stories in this vein, which are kind of like post Empire, but kind of in the early days of the New Republic. So not even like stuff that's like before like Force Awakens, even, and some of those other movies.
Okay.
Anyway,
Well,
yeah, I've spent a lot of time talking about like plot and lore. I will say that I really enjoyed this movie. I had a lot of fun. Um, as I mentioned, it is just jam packed with action. It's all different kinds of action. It's like car chases, hand to hand fighting, spaceships shooting things, like characters like in a combat ring, crazy aliens. Like it's just got all different types of action, and it's a fun vehicle for the characters to be in. Like, of course, Grogu does cute shit. Uh, there's one particularly hilarious scene where Grogu is back on the ship, and there's an earlier scene in the movie where he's just hitting all kinds of buttons on the ship, and Mando's like, "No, don't do that. Like, don't, no, don't touch those buttons. Like in the way that you would with a child."
yeah.
And I have done with my child, where you're like, "No, don't hit that. Don't." They always find the things you don't want them to find, right?
Yep.
And so it's like, "Don't do that. Don't hit those buttons." And then they're like fleeing back to the ship, and Grogu and Rada are on the ship, and Rada can't fit in the cockpit, so Grogu has to be in the one like hitting stuff, and he's like trying to explain to him over like the comm, like, "Oh, you do this, you hit this button," and Grogu has no fucking clue what he's doing, and he's just like hitting the weapon buttons and just errantly launching missiles, creating like a really difficult situation for them. And they get back to the ship, and he's like, "Good job, buddy. You did a good job."
Is Grogu actually a child?
Yes, he is a child. He doesn't speak. He kind of grunts and squeals like a small child would, and he can like nod and like show signs of like agreement and things like that.
Yeah. But he's not like push buttons I will, or anything like
No,
that.
he's not gotten there yet. He hasn't reached that point. But
If 900 years old you reach, see if this good you will look.
I got that.
they do
wrong,
make a
but
comment about that his race lives for hundreds of years, because the Hutts were like, we live for hundreds of years, just like that guy does in his species.
Interesting. He is very cute.
Yeah.
Little Grogu.
He's cute, he's funny. I think if I have like a critique, it's maybe that the section of the movie where he's kind of like on his own, it feels a little long in the tooth.
Mm.
In terms of like him foraging. He meets this like friendly guy in this like swamp who gives him some fish and gives him a remedy to feed Mando to cure his like venom, his poisoning. That feels a little long to me, but the movie itself moves. It was like in and out in like around 2-ish hours, and it didn't. When I was like watching it, it felt like it was moving and didn't feel like it overstayed its welcome. I was like extremely satisfied overall, both as like a continuation of the show, but like a fun, self-contained adventure. Like you can watch it and it's helpful if you've seen the show, but it's not like mandatory. There's not like a lot of connective tissue or lore from the show in the movie. You can kind of sit down and watch and go, okay, there's the Mandalorian guy. He's got Grogu with him, and let's watch them go off on this adventure.
That's good to know, because I do plan on seeing this because I just like, as you know, Pedro Pascal, and I am mostly tolerant of Jon Favreau, and I've always thought Baby Yoda's cute. Baby Yoda's cute. I've never seen any Star Wars TV shows because after Rise of Skywalker, I was like, yeah, I think I've had enough Star Wars.
Yeah, that's fair.
9 movies and 3 of them are worth watching. Maybe, I don't know. So,
yeah, this to me feels more in the vein of Last Jedi in terms of my enjoyment of it. I don't know that it's quite so different in terms of like exploration of lore or world building in the way that Last Jedi is, with all that stuff around the Force. Like some of it probably will still feel like fan service, but to me it wasn't fan service in an annoying way. Like there were definitely people who were like cheering and clapping because there were some like hardcore Star Wars nerds there. For like people or things on screen that was like, I don't know what that is. I don't know why people are clapping.
yeah.
But to me, as like a casual observer, I wasn't like, this felt like obvious fan service to me.
Okay. Well,
so
I mean, it sounds interesting to me. So you spoiler pieced me into it. I mean, I kind of thought I was going to see it already, but
I suspected you might check it out. I will say another thing.
Yeah.
This has an incredible score.
Oh, that's cool.
Excellent score. It's done by Ludwig Göransson, who has done the score for the TV show.
Yep.
And done incredible work on the TV show. And I feel like this to me found ways to make that to bring that score in and make it interesting and complex in entirely new ways. Like there's this kind of like the planet that he drops down on where he's like meets Rada is this like very like industrial like cityscape kind of place, and the score in that section is like chef's kiss.
Okay. Well, cool.
Yeah.
Well, any other closing thoughts?
I don't think so. I had so much fun. Like as I was watching, I was thinking like, this is why I go to the movies. This is why I like the movies. It's this kind of film is like exactly what I wanted it to be. It was not disappointing in any way, shape, or form.
Well, that's cool. I am going to have some similar sentiments when I talk about tuna, piano, can't tuna fish, hot tuna, whatever you want to call it. This is a movie, and it is it's written by Daniel Rohr. I assume that's how it's pronounced because it's Roher, which is Rower. I don't know.
Yeah.
And written by Mr. Rower and Robert Ramsey. And this stars Leah Woodall, who I think I've never seen before. I'm not sure. Have we seen Leo Woodall and stuff?
I'm looking him up now because I'm like, have I seen the name is familiar?
He kind of looks like a younger, just got done with a boxing match, a little more full in the face, Cillian Murphy.
This says he was also in White Lotus.
Okay, but also kind of looks like Christopher Nolan.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know how else to describe him. and he's an Englishman because before the movie ran, he and I can't remember her name, Havana Rose Liu, did one of those things where it's like, hey, you're about to see our movie and that's so cool. And we love Jesus. And they don't say that. And we want to know what you think of the movie. And part of the reason I went to see this is because whoever's putting this out, I can't remember who, made a big show of saying, this is a movie that, yes, it's a movie. You have to watch it. But its sound figures into it so much. You need to see it with this new Dolby blobbity blee blee blue thing. And I have to tell you, that is true. This movie is so sound dependent that you need a truly remarkable sound system. But B, it's not sound dependent in the sense that like, oh, we're using the strings here to swell because the actors are bad, but we need you to know they're feeling emotion. It's like the sounds, many of the sounds in this movie work themselves into the plot, or were already there, and then the plot brings them out. Because this is a movie about this guy, Nicky, played by Leo Woodall, and he works for Harry Horowitz, who is Dustin Hoffman, and Harry is a piano tuner, and he has been a piano tuner for, I mean, Dustin Hoffman's what, 85? So Harry's been a piano tuner for 60 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he's losing his hearing, and he's got health problems. And Nicky's dad used to be a tuner and I think a jazz pianist. It's never really quite sure what happened to him, but I guess he just died like people do. It's not nefarious or anything. And so Dustin Hoffman kind of took Nicky in, and Nicky had perfect pitch, and he was a piano prodigy. And then he developed this condition, which is a real condition because I looked it up, that I can't remember the name of right now, where basically you become allergic to sharp noises. And so he couldn't play piano anymore because, yes, you might have the stuff that's very first movement of Moonlight Sonata where it's all kind of chill and that. But then you've got the second movement, the really fast one where you're hitting notes really hard and everything is fortissimo instead of pianissimo, or pianissimo. I don't know how you pronounce that part. Where it's loud instead of quiet. And he wears ear protection at all times. He's got the kind that you see in people's ears and they keep like the string wrapped around them. So if they fall out, it falls on their neck and they don't lose them, like that kind of thing. But then sometimes he also puts noise canceling headphones on top of that. And because he has perfect pitch and because Harry is getting older and can't, do what he used to do anymore, he still works as a piano tuner, even though he can't play. And he gets this job where he's I can't remember the order that this happens in. He goes over to a school that's clearly supposed to be Juilliard, but it's not Juilliard, even though this movie was shot primarily in New York. And he's tuning the piano of a graduate student who's a composition major, and it's Havana Rose Liu, who I have seen before. I couldn't tell you where. I didn't see the movie Bottoms, which I think she is most known for. She's terrific. Leo Woodall's terrific. Dustin Hoffman's terrific. I'll just get that all out of the way up front. Tova Feldsha is Dustin Hoffman's wife. She's terrific. I mean, I think
I love her whenever she shows up.
I love her. I think I've only ever seen her play that lawyer on Law and Order, like in 2 episodes a season. but she's so great.
Yeah.
She's like one of those people who you don't even feel like she's acting. You just feel like that's who she is, the character she's playing, She's just terrific. And so anyway, Nicky tunes the piano in the hall, and she realizes, she's playing her a piece, and she says, "Oh, this really is a lot better. It's perfect. Thank you." He's like, I think that E flat above middle C is not quite right. And she's like, "Oh, baloney." He's like, "Play it." And she plays it. And he's like, "Yeah, let me just check it." And he goes, and if you've ever seen anybody tune a piano, it is the most, I can't believe there are people who do this for a living because it looks really, 1, boring, 2, really difficult.
Boring and difficult.
Yeah.
Good combination for any job, right?
Exactly. It's my favorite kind of work. Basically TV production for all the years that I worked in it. So anyway, he tunes it, and then that's when she says, "Do you have perfect pitch?" And he kind of is just sort of sheepishly like, "Yeah." And so she says, "Well, what's this note?" And she starts playing notes, and he starts naming them. And if you've ever seen anybody with perfect pitch, it is kind of amazing to watch them. You play a chord with like 6 notes in it, and they're like, "All right, that's an A, and that's a this, and the name of the chord is this." And so he does that. And she's like, "All right, turn around. You're cheating. You're looking." And then he does it perfectly, and she's really impressed, but she's got to get back to work. And he's like, "I got to go to work." And then he goes to this mansion where some guy is having Billy Joel, like some billionaires having Billy Joel play like a private party the following night. So he's got to tune the piano. And there's just a shitload of work being done at the house. And this woman's like, he's like, "I can't work while all this noise is going on." And he's like, "I tune pianos. I got to be able to hear it. And I can't, the ear protection, whatever." She's like, "Well, why don't you go?" She gives him a couple $100. She's like, "Go have lunch, come back at 8:00. And he's like, "All right, fine." Comes back. He's tuning the piano. Everything's fine. And then there's a huge thump and a little bit of like drywall dust falls on the piano. And he's like, "What the fuck?" And he goes up there, and there are these 3 guys like drilling a safe in the bathroom. And he's like, "What the fuck?" And they're like, "What the fuck with you?" And he says, "Look, I'm trying to tune a piano." And they're like, "But you're watching us crack a safe." He's like, I don't give a shit, that you're cracking a safe. I've got to tune this piano." And I should mention that in an earlier scene, he had taken part of the reason that Dustin Hoffman couldn't hear. Yes, he's losing his hearing, but he had accidentally put his hearing aids in his safe, and something that he usually keeps in the safe where he usually puts his hearing aids. He switched them. Then he'd forgotten the combination because he had changed it from his wedding anniversary to something else. So Nikki takes the piano home, and he watches a couple of YouTube videos about how safes work, and he opens the safe and gets Harry's hearing aids out. And then this
Gotcha.
all
Okay,
happens.
I was really wondering of what the connection was to the safe situation. How he even realized he could do that.
Yeah, he didn't have any idea until they, because one of them, the Dustin Hoffman or his wife says, "Well, let's just like break the safe open." And he's like, "There's like this is 2 inches of steel. We can't break this open. That's crazy." And and it's a small safe. He's like, "I'll just take it home. I'll figure it out. I'll get your hearing aids. It'll be fine." And so he does that. And then lo and behold, this situation pops up with these Israeli security guys who are also robbing their own clients, which is kind of funny to me. But he gets the safe open for these guys because they're like, "Well, we got to drill this open, and it's going to take this amount of time." And he's like, "Well, I got to do this because I got to get this piano tuned, and I got to go home and get some sleep, and I got work tomorrow." And they're like, "Well, if you can bust it open, just bust it open." So he opens it, and they're like, "Holy shit!" And he goes back downstairs and he starts tuning the piano, and the guy comes down and gives him like a stack of cash and his card and says, "If you want to make some real money, you call me." So then Harry has all kinds of health problems. First of all, they meet Ruthie in a diner, and Harry basically bullies Nikki and Ruthie into Ruthie letting Harry carry her books to the hall for him. And so they have their meet cute that way, although like she's completely unimpressed and he doesn't want to be there because he feels awkward because, he's all fucked up about the hearing thing because he was a prodigy and this, that, and the other. So what I'll say about this movie is it is relatively predictable because of course he starts cracking safes for the Israelis, and then things go south. And but the only reason he's doing it is because Harry has like a heart attack and is in the hospital, and there's like a $36,000 medical bill. And so he takes the jobs to start paying off the hospital stuff. And then Harry's wife, Tova Feldsha, is like, "Where are you getting this money? This is weird." And he's like, "It's not weird. I'm just taking extra jobs." And she's like, she doesn't know what's going on, but she knows something's going on. She's like, "You be careful and don't. And if you can stop. You don't have to pay our bills. We'll figure it out." He's like, "Nah, it's fine." So then, Ruthie, like her neighbor's toilet overflows and water starts flowing under her piano. So she had Harry's business card. So she calls Harry, but because he's in the hospital, Nikki's got his phone and he takes the call, and they're kind of like talking, and he rescues her piano, and it's very cute. And of course they start dating. And then there's a job that goes really, really bad with the safecracker guys. One, because it's right by Newark Airport. And so there are planes landing all the time. And it's really fucking up Nikki's hearing. Second of all, it's these group of thieves who have hired the Israeli security guys. So they've and then they contract out to Nikki to bust open this safe because they can't bust open this particular safe, and it's huge. And so he gets the safe open, but then the Chinese guys who are trying to steal the stuff in this safe, who hired the Israeli guys, somebody's one of the Chinese guys' uncle comes in and is like, "What the fuck?" And it turns out they were looking for this crypto. One of those, I feel like I see this a lot in movies lately, like the crypto password recovery thing, where if you remember these 12 words in the correct sequence, you can get your account reopened.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things, but Nikki is holding it when this guy comes in and he's got a gun at his ear. But of course, what nobody realizes is because Nikki read sheet music for years and you have to memorize your sheet music, he instantly memorizes the 12 words on the page, even though the guy makes him rip it up and then eat it in front of him. But then somebody shoots the guy in the face and kills him. And the sound of the gunshot is so loud. And between that and the planes and the stress, Nikki just runs out of there and he throws up and thing just all goes south. And that, he refuses to work for the Israeli guys again. So they come by with an air horn and blow it in his ear.
Oof,
and
that's brutal.
It's rough. And then he gets this watch that he gives to Ruthie that they stole. It turns out from Jean Reno, who is this famous composer that she wants to work for. This is what I mean when I say it's all kind of predictable, and it's certainly contrived. Because when you see Jean Reno's name in the credits and you see Anne Jean Reno, you're like, Anne Jean Reno. What is Chekhov's Jean Reno going to be in this movie?
Yeah. Chekhov's Frenchman.
Yeah. Chekhov's famous French composer who Ruthie wants to work for. And of course, when she gives the greatest performance that any student has ever given, that Nikki misses, of course, because he's recovering. He's had to get the second safe open, and then he's had to recover from his hearing problem while that's going on. She goes to talk to Jean Reno, and he's like, "Oh, your composition is beautiful. The way you played is beautiful. The musicians you had accompanying you is wonderful. By the way, that watch you're wearing, where did you get that?" She's like, "Oh, it was a gift from my boyfriend." He's like, 3 weeks ago, my home was broken into, and nothing that we can't replace has been stolen except for these two watches. One that looks just like that was a gift from my grandmother to my grandmother on their wedding day, and her watch that she gave him is missing, and they died in the camps, and that's the only memento I have of them aside from one photo. So where'd you get that watch? And then Nikki finally shows up at the performance, and she comes out and she's like, "What the fuck?" And he's like, "What the fuck?" And then he's got to go get the other watch, and then that goes bad. And so you can see how this is all going, right?
Yeah.
And at the end, he loses his hearing, maybe permanently, because while he's trying to get the watch back, they blow the air horn in his ear again, even though the Israeli guy's two nephews who work for him are like, "You can't do it. You got to give him the watch because it's a Holocaust watch, and that's fucking bad for all of us if you do this weird shit." So he ruins Nikki's hearing, but when Nikki gets out of the hospital, in his bag of belongings, the other watch is in there. So he is able to give the watch back to Jean Reno, but he can barely hear. And so he goes over to Jean Reno's house to give it to him, because the whole deal was, if I can get the watch back, you won't call the police and get my girlfriend in trouble, because you saw her with the watch, you didn't see me with it. So who knows? It's a whole thing. It's contrived. So he goes back there, he gives Jean Reno the watch, and he says, "You're absolved." And Ruthie's like, "Oh, you're here. How strange." And I don't remember how it even happens, but he sits down at the piano and he just plays because it doesn't hurt his ears anymore because he can't hear anyway. And they keep cutting back to the sound, and you can barely hear when he's playing, but he's playing with such passion and fluidity, and clearly he truly was gifted. And then, like the look on her face as she's watching him play it's like it's kind of open ended whether she's going to be like, "Oh, he told me the truth. I love him again," or what. But I actually like the way the movie ends because he's been saying that he can't really hear this whole time, but then he plays, and when he finishes the piece, he looks down at the keyboard and he puts like the lid down and he goes, "The E flat's off." And that's how the movie ends. And I was just like,
that's great.
That's really great. I love that.
Yeah.
And
Great
even
full circle moment.
Yeah. And even though you can finally or you can more or less see where the movie's going, it's directed so well and the sound design is so good and the acting is so good. Like I said, I don't know Havana Rose Liu. She's terrific. And if I may be a guy for a minute, I could look at her face for the rest of my life. Like she's just stunningly beautiful. And the guy, Nicky White, what's his name? Leo Woodall or whatever. He's excellent. Like if I had not heard him talking like an Englishman before the movie, I would never have known. It's kind of like, you remember when you had seen 10 Things I Hate About You and maybe you saw Knight's Tale and then you saw Brokeback Mountain and you were like, "Oh, Heath Ledger can do this?" And if you'd seen that first, you never would have known that he was Australian or anything like that. And it's kind of like this. If I had not seen this guy be like, "Oh, you need to watch our movie, mate," which sounds like me doing a bad Cockney and Australian accent at the same time, I never would have known. I just thought he was like some guy who was an actor doing like a riff on James Dean, But he's terrific. And I every time I see Dustin Hoffman pop up, especially in movies in the last decade where he's kind of playing a doddering old man, it really irritates me. But he's terrific in this. He's so good and he's so warm and he's so earthy. And the movie has the great benefit of having a well-timed cameo by Herbie Hancock, because you hear like Harry telling all these stories about all these people he worked with or whatever. And then Herbie Hancock is in there telling Nicky, he's like, "Oh man, I always just had the best time with Harry and your father doing X, Y, and Z." And it's like, "Oh, that's fucking cool." So Harry wasn't full of shit. That's great. And so I just think that this is really, really well done. And I don't even really think that the fact that it's all a little bit more contrived than you would want it to be is all that detrimental to it. I think in a way, because I knew how the story, or I thought I knew how the story was going to unfold. And yes, I was correct because I've seen a lot of movies. It kind of gave me the freedom to just get sucked in by it and sort of be surprised when I was surprised and then just like kind of roll with it when I wasn't. So, because there is one thing that surprised the shit out of me, I gotta say. So,
okay.
But if you get around to seeing it, I would like to know what surprised you about it and see if we line up on this, because there's one moment that I truly did not see coming, but otherwise it's all pretty well trod territory. But the unfortunate thing is, I had read, or maybe one of the guys, because a bunch of the Bafka guys were at the screening too. They had said part of the reason they wanted to come to this screening was because the Mandalorian and Grogu is going to eat up a bunch of the Dolby sound cinemas around us. So nobody's really going to get to see Tuner like it's supposed to be seen or heard.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah. It's a good movie. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, highly. I was already interested in seeing it based on the cast and the plot description. But I really want to see it now based on your review of it.
Yeah. It's really terrific. It's tense without being, it's really strange because sometimes when I know what's going to happen in a movie, I just think it's like, I really wish I didn't know it. I wish I didn't see so many movies. And I have to reiterate this again, because I'm always talking about this and it makes me sound like I've got like this big swinging dick ego about movies. No, this is just because I've seen a million movies that I can kind of tell where they're all going,
Yeah.
So if you saw as many movies as Evan and I have seen, you would see it all too. And you probably
you start to see you start able to predict plot lines and
Yeah.
things like that.
I don't remember which director it is, but somebody said, it was like, well, there's only 6 stories that you really tell, right? So doesn't matter,
Yeah.
the genre doesn't matter, but it's like there's 6 different stories. And what I really liked about this also is, Nikki is such a withdrawn, I wouldn't say that he's miserable, although maybe he is, but I connect oftentimes with movies in which I think that the movie understands loneliness or when you have like a lack of self-esteem, when a central character has a lack of self-esteem, but not in it as like, oh, I just kind of suck, but in a way that it seems like whoever wrote it understands how that works.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie does do that well. So I highly
Sweet.
recommend it.
Yeah, well, you spoiler piece me into seeing it.
Sweet. And you spoiler piece me into wanting to see The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Sweet.
I wonder when they were deciding the name, is Grogu his race or is that his name? Or like the Yodas, are they Grogu's?
Oh, Grogu is his name.
His name.
Yeah, it's just his name. Yeah.
What are Yodas and Grogu's? Do we know what they are?
I don't remember if they told us the name of their race or not.
Yeah, because we know they got Hutts, they got Ewoks, they have, fucking blobbity blahs. What's Grogu and Yoda? What are those guys?
Mm.
They're green dudes with big ears.
Yep.
Alrighty. Well, do you have anything else you wanted to impart to our lovely listeners before we shuffled away for the evening?
No, I think I'm good.
Alrighty. Well, I'm good too. So let us close out the show in our regular fashion, which is when we tell you Evan highly recommends The Mandalorian and Grogu. I highly recommend, for what that's worth, Tuner. We are edited by the wonderful and talented Otto Clamor. Otto, thank you for editing the show each week and making us sound like our voices aren't 12-year-old children. Or at least mine. You can find Spoiler Piece Theater anywhere you get podcasts. Our website is spoilerpiece.com. On social media, we're Spoiler Piece Theater on Facebook, and we're at Spoiler Piece on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, Twitter, Blue Sky, and Threads. You can email spoilerpiece@gmail.com if you'd like to get in touch with us. Tell us whether you had the pleasure of seeing Tuna in a Dolby Cinema and whether you also got the Dustin Hoffman bobblehead like I did as swag, which is still in the box. I haven't opened it. And whether you've seen Mandalorian Grogu and whether you, how do you feel about the Jon Favreau years over at Disney? And if you like the show, please consider rating and reviewing us by going to ratethispodcast.com/spoilerpiece, or you can do it directly on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. That would be a delight. It helps people find the show whenever we get a little boost in the reviews department. And if you really, really like the show, please consider joining our Patreon. This week, we are talking about the absolutely bonkers 1981 film, The Fan, starring Lauren Bacall, James Garner, and who did I say? Kyle Reese? Yeah.
Michael Biehn.
Michael Biehn, Kyle Reese, or Coffee if you're more of an Abyss person. Lieutenant Coffee. And that, as they say, is that. My name is Dave Riedel. I'm a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association. And if you want to follow me on the social medias, I am Dave Sees Movies on everywhere except Twitter, where I'm X can suck a dick. And Blue Sky, I'm David Riedel.
My name is Evan Crean. I am co-chair of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, co-author of your 80s Movie Guide to Better Living, and co-host of the It's the Pictures podcast. You can follow me on social media as Real Recon, and that's real as in film reel.
Thanks, everyone. See you next week.
Bye.